Hey everybody, Dave Basulto, iOgrapher TV. Welcome back for our part 2 of Filmic Pro app, our go-to video app that we just love here at iOgrapher. Have all my students that I teach in high school. I'll use this. It is a wonderful tool. So let's dive a little deeper. In the previous video, you saw how to just get up and running and shoot some quick videos, lock focus, lock exposure levels, and a little bit of zoom. Where to find your video when it's done as well, and how to save it to the camera roll. So let's dive a little bit deeper today. If you can go over here, so let's lock our focus again. So we're going to go here with this little square, and we're going to press the lock, and the exposure is a little blown out there. I want to see a little bit of the green outside, so I'm going to lock that. So that's my exposure today. And let's go down to the left-hand side here. This little icon here is white balance. So if you want to do some white balance, you can bring a white piece of paper in the front of your screen, press that to lock the white balance, and it'll keep that color white for you, so you can do that. Next up top here, this is how you switch the camera left to front and back, so you can do that. This button right here is very important. It's the wave button. It's the audio button. So if I click it off right now and the red is off, you see over here on the left hand side I can't monitor my audio, but if I put it back on, I can monitor audio levels, which is very important to me. So I love that feature. Below that is the grid. So many people do rule of thirds. If you want that, if you need that helper there, you can turn on the grid. So that's available. Of course, down below is where we find all of our footage. We did that yesterday. And now over here you can see the battery right there, how much battery life we have, and HD is of course how much hard drive space we have. And then let's go over to the right here. This is the settings panel, and we'll dive into that in a few seconds. And this is preset 1, 2, and 3. So within the settings panel you can set up different presets if you'd like. And over here you got the plus and minus for zooming in and out, and these numbers right there, oops, I accidentally started shooting, which is lovely. We'll turn that off. The plus and minus here, 1, 2, 3, lets you go into your zoom. So let's start from here, then we're going to zoom in about right there. And I'm going to press and hold the number 1. And you can see right here it kind of made a little keyframe, excuse me. I haven't done my animation class in a few weeks. Keyframe right there. So now when we go back out here to the start of our frame, so we can get everything all framed up, and then we can go press action. We'll just do a little clip here, and then I'll press the number 1, and now it's zooming into where you want it to be. And then you can add another one to come back to there, and press the number 2 and hold it, and now it's going to go back, so you can go from 1 to 2 or however you like. So that's pretty simple. And then once you're done with those presets on the zoom, you can hold and press the number and it'll go away and go back to default. Okay, so that is the main stuff here on the UI. Now let's go up to the top left really quick. There's a letter I, and that stands for information. So if I click that, there's all my stuff there. Everything that I need to use. Okay. And we'll go off of that now. Let's go back in to, oh, I forgot to show you one thing. Down here, the letter T is a histogram. So it actually has a really cool built-in histogram. Okay. Let's get out of that. Let's dive into the settings area. And there's the settings area. And if you look in the top left corner, we're at Filmic Pro version 5.8. You definitely want to be the latest version because they're always upgrading things and fixing any kind of bug whatsoever. I remember I had a gripe a while ago that because I'm a big Premiere Pro user, and in fact my classroom is filled with Adobe Premiere Pro CC. And my students would go, and you'd have problems with sync audio. The audio was off a little bit, and it was not. It was a problem with Adobe and Filmic Pro talking, and they fixed that right away. And now it's we're living in perfect harmony, so it's great. So up here at the top left, you've got your standard sync audio. Okay, so if you're shooting something where you want to have your audio synced with your video, so you're doing a documentary and you have interviews or your feature film or something for YouTube, etc., you want the audio to be synced with the video. You don't want to have to sync it later. That's a pain in the butt. Filmic Pro does it all for you. So you've got 30 frames per second, 24 frames per second if you want a little bit more of a film look, and 25 frames per second is for our good friends in the PAL countries, PAL, and 30 and 24 is the NTSC standards. Actually 30 is the NTSC standards. So those are more North America and whatnot. I'm pretty sure if you throw 25 frames up on YouTube though, it kind of fixes it for you. So if you mess up there a little bit, don't worry about it. Let's look over to the right. Fast capture, okay? So depending on your device, if you have the iPhone 5S, your fast capture would go up to 120 frames per second. Right now it's showing at 48, 50, and 60. So if you're trying to shoot some really slow-mo footage that you want to do some fun stuff with, you can certainly use those fast capture frame rates and then bring them into a slower frame rate timeline to edit, and it'll be nice and smooth. And I'm going to actually go into that a lot later, showing you how to do that on your iPad, but also in Premiere Pro and possibly Final Cut. Okay, accelerated motion effects. So you can even do deep dive even further. He's giving you some great options here. If you want 60 times slow motion, so it's shooting 2 frames every 120 seconds. I mean, you can do some fun stuff like that. Slow motion effects. He's got shoot 30 for 24. All that stuff's a little more complicated than I wanted to get into this video. But if you're really interested in that, I would love to hear from you, and I can do a separate video just for that. And in fact, we're going to have Neil from Filmic Pro on the show, the podcast that we're launching very soon, and he can talk all about it as well. Below that is custom presets. So if you remember on the front of the app, the UI, there was numbers there. Those are so that you can create your own presets inside of here. So you can actually go in here and change things down below and then create a preset from that, and that'll be the preset for that for all the stuff you did. So let's scroll down a little bit. So you've got the camera stuff, camera front and back, of course, and then mode, real-time effects using the GPU. I highly recommend that. It's enabled. If you don't want that, if you want an efficiency mode, you can certainly have longer battery life, and it causes less heat, but I really want you to use a real-time effects mode. It's a lot better. The orientation is auto, so if we turn it right or left, you can lock that, okay? So you can do all those things. Resolution. Oops, wrong one. That's frame settings. Resolution. So you can do 1920 by 1080. You can do 1280 by 720 in an iframe, and 1280 by 720 regular, and 960 by 540 in iframe. I recommend always trying to shoot in the highest resolution, even if we're going to the web and they might downsize it to 720. At least you'll have a master, meaning your main finished product will be in a higher resolution in case you need it later. Underneath that is your frame rate. Oops, and I keep going one more. Frame rates here, if you want to change the frame rates, you can change them entirely up to you with or without sync audio. So that is entirely up to you, and you can play around with that. I won't keep you on all that, but if you're looking for different looks, it's definitely things you could do. Zoom is on or off. Image stabilization. I don't like image stabilization on. It's caused problems for me in the past. Nothing about the app itself, but the whole point of making the iOgrapher was so that I could stabilize it on tripods or use the handles or whatnot and not rely on software to do that. So we did that. I would leave it off. Let's go to audio monitoring. That's on. So you want to have that switch on so that the front you can monitor your audio. 35mm flip, and what that does is there's an adapter that company called VidAtlantic uses, or sells, I should say, vid-atlantic.com, and it's a kit that you can use to put onto your iOgrapher, and it allows you to use 35mm lenses. So if you have Canon or Nikon glass, you can use those kind of lenses on this. It's pretty cool. I have a couple, and they're really fun to use, and there's a whole workflow for them. But what is important is that you need to flip your image, and Filmic Pro is the only one that does that, because the adapter flips the image upside down, and it's just the way that it works, how it's capturing the film, the image from the lenses itself. So you have to have it flipped unless you want to look at things upside down. So that would be something you can turn on. GPS tagging is self-explanatory. Event mode I've never used, so I can't speak highly of it yet, but I will ask Neil to tell us about that. Show histogram I love, and the screen options thing is up on top. That's I'm leaving that alone for now. Overlays, audio meter you want on, the thirds, all that stuff you can kind of do in the front. You can put a mat on there. You can have framing guides. And Chroma Key, this is really interesting. I'm going to click on this for a second, but I'm not going to dive into that because it's an entire tutorial on its own. But in my classes at school where we do news team, we actually have an image that we upload. So you'll see right here it says background image. So you go in through your iTunes account into the apps section, and in Filmic Pro you'll be able to upload an image back there that's an overlay. So you're going to put that in there for your background image. So maybe you've got this your logo or whatever, or you're in front of buildings. I mean, you can put anything you want. Then you go in front of your green screen and you start to key it out using threshold and smoothing. And of course there's blue, green, red, green, and blue down here that you can change around. But it works tremendously well. I mean, you need some good lighting, and it works fantastic for an in-app green screen. And I know he's improving this as well. So this is an entirely different tutorial that I will get to soon, and I'll show you how it works. Okay. So let's go back. Underneath there, you got content management. So if you're into metadata, you might want to play around with this. If you're shooting a lot of stuff, I'm teaching my students at school to do that. So instead of clip naming convention, I might say project, scene, segment, so they have to type in all that stuff, okay? And that'll all come live there. I like them to do that because after a while, they're searching on the computers at school for different clips that they did. Oh, man, I did this project. I know I did. I can't find my clip, but what's the name of it? I don't know. It's like image 4343. No, I mean, it's like crazy. So I have them all put all their information there before they shoot, and they're proficient in that now. Header, I don't use the header at all, but you can use it for, if you want to do your own slate, you can have a slate in the beginning of your videos all the time, and that's fine. If you want like, color bars and whatnot, you can do that. Down here at Advanced Encoding, so Filmic Pro has different settings, and it goes from economy. So if you don't have that much space left on the hard drive and you just really want to get this shot or these interviews or whatever, and it's really just going to the web, I mean, economy shoots great. I used it in a show I did in Las Vegas because I was interviewing like 6-7 people a day. And even though we had a massive hard drive, they were on the iPad itself. We had the 128 gig one. We were getting close to filling it up every time. So I tried the economy, and it was a great image. We were excited. So you definitely can use the economy. If you're shooting a big, important project, I highly, and of course every project's important, but I highly recommend using Filmic Extreme. It shoots 50 megabits per second, and I really encourage you to try that out. Your image will be so nice. So really go into that. In fact, we'll turn that on right now. Okay. Audio, you've got options of going uncompressed or compressed. I usually just use 48K compressed, but feel free to do whatever you'd like there. Okay. Audio filter, I don't mess with that. I leave it alone with the standard. Leave it enabled. Okay. And down here's the kicker. Filmic Remote which is a great app that you can have on your other iOS device. So if you've got a iPhone on you and you're shooting with your iPad, and I actually used this at the South by Southwest conference. Due to budget restraints, I couldn't really bring a whole crew down there, and I know a lot of you probably have that problem as well. I took my tripod, I had my iPad, I had my iPhone, and I would set up my tripod, and I would go back, set it up where I thought I liked the shot. I would look through the viewfinder, and then I would go into the shot where I wanted to be, and then I would launch Filmic Remote, which is a free app, by the way, and connect it to my iPad wirelessly, and then I would see real time on my iPhone what the screen that I was looking through my iPad. So now I could frame myself, I could lock the focus, and I could lock my exposure, and I could press start to start filming, and I was my own cameraman, and I was able to do all my stuff on my own. It is tremendous. This is why I'm fanatical about Filmic Pro. It just is the one-man band that you need to go out there and just make great content. Or women, not one-man band, one-man women too. So very cool stuff, Filmic Remote. Also, Filmic Community. There's lots of people on there. You can go click on there. They just launched a new website, filmicpro.com. They give tons of support. I've never seen Neil from Filmic Pro ever not return anything, whether it's through Facebook or his Twitter feed. Sorry. But awesome app. So that's it. Next video, when I get time to that regarding Filmic Pro, will be about green screen. But this should be enough to get you up and rolling between the first video, the basics, and this, the more advanced. You should be ready to go, up and shooting with Filmic Pro, and have a great time with it. I'm Dave Basulto for iOgrapher. Thanks for coming by. And also remember, our lenses, and I'm going to change focus here to go over to this now. And let's change a little bit of lighting. Whoa. These are iOgrapher lenses, telephoto and wide angle. They're going to be up at the store soon. I'm so excited I had to show you because I just got them in today. All right, everybody, check us out, iOgrapher.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to build it up. Tell all your friends and keep on making movies. Click, point, and be creative. Thanks for watching.